Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and we are at the last episode of the season. Definitely going to be the last one for sure, Christian. But again, I am joined by Cristian Putalias. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. How's it going, Rudy? How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. And yeah, man, we made it all the way to the end. Not all the way to the end, but almost to the end of the road. So a great season overall, but excited.
Yeah, much longer than we all expected, which it's
For
fine.
sure.
I wish we were here, obviously recording on Thursday night, usually a Monday night. I think if the Dynamo would have made it to the final, we would have been way more hyped and had to do an episode on Monday, but it kind of worked out. There's a couple things that came out after Monday that I think is worth, talking about, being this is the last regular episode for us for the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. We do have planned
Of the year.
of the year.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, of the year, of the season for us. But we're trying to get one more episode, whether it be a player, a coach. Stay tuned. We'll hopefully have that next week up and running. But yeah, this is the last one, Christian, because after that, man, we have all the holidays kind of coming and going. You know how it is. You got Christmas coming, and then New Year. So busy times for sure, man. So I think it was more than, well, I guess we needed the rest, man. I think sometimes every now and then we take maybe a whole week or a couple days from recording, but why not just take, the last 3 weeks of the season or the year to enjoy with friends, family, eat a lot of food, and whatever else we want to do, man. So I guess before we get started, man, anything new for you? Well, what have you been up to, man? Anything you want to let the people know?
No,
Always trying to
not
break the ice
yeah.
here and get
Yeah,
for
no,
people to, what's it called? They know us or a little bit of our
right.
lives, kind of.
So I don't know if you guys know, but like my parents moved out to Sealy, Texas. So it's like way out in the country, kind of. So it's like even 30 more minutes away from Katy, like going west on I-10. So so we actually came to the parade that they did here in like, quote unquote downtown Sealy the other day, and it was pretty fun. It's just like old, like very like old town, like small town feel. You had the band, high school marching band, and it was like 50 kids, and it was pretty cool. And this actually, I think next week is San Felipe, which is like the town over. They're having their own little town, like Christmas festival type thing. So we might join the festivities over there. But it's pretty cool, like you forget, like living in Houston or like Katy, which is, a small town, big town at the same time. You're like, dang, you're used to the cars and this and that, the fast life. And then, you come out here to Silly, kind of visit the grandparents and stuff like that. And it's just a whole different vibe, man. It's kind of crazy how it is. But yeah, no, just kind of that, nothing too crazy. How about yourself?
Yeah, man, that's funny because I think around the same time that you went to that, I also try to go to the one in Pearland, and Friendswood actually were happening both at the same time, and we kind of missed both of them, so it's fine. We went to, I think, to stores when the Pearland one was happening, and then we went to eat when the Friendswood one was happening. So it was a little cold that day, so sitting outside and going inside a store
Yeah.
or something like that, I think it was fine for us. But nah, for me personally, I'm just dealing with my freaking 4-year-old, man. They keep calling me to meet the teacher.
Oh, dang.
He's a good kid, but he just has a hard time listening sometimes. And he's a little, definitely like the mom, right? Stubborn.
I,
Um,
li- I like how you peeked. You're like,
yeah,
let
I'm
me just
like,
make
is she be
sure.
back there? Nah, she's good. Nah, but definitely just kind of what I've been dealing with. But man, still good. I love the way that the kids kind of keep me on my toes, and from the very beginning. I mean, this kid is in pre-K, bro. Like he's 4 years old, and from the get-go, the teachers know they've been doing it forever. They kind of know what all the kids' kind of character is gonna look like eventually when they get older. And
Yeah.
the teacher was like, "Yeah, well, he's a great kid, but he's always gonna be in trouble. So get used to this, teacher parent conference." And I'm like, "Oh, great! This is fantastic! Like, we only got 12 years of this stuff, like
Right.
so." Yeah, so that's kind of how life is for, well, actually 13, right? I said pre-K. So he has
Right.
more than that, actually, 14 years. The more I keep counting, man, the more it seems worse. But
The more time you get.
yeah. So nah, that's just how it is sometimes. And they keep you on your toes. And I already told him, I'm like, he's my buddy for sure. We have a boy and a girl. And the little girl just like she she's my little girl. No one touched my little girl. Like she's my
Yeah.
little girl. And my son, I always like, he's my buddy, take him places and stuff. So I already told him we'll probably go and watch a game or an NPL game or Saturday or something, because that's the only day that I'm free for a while before I go to town in the holidays. So I already told him, and he was super excited. He was like, "Let's go to the." Actually, he was like, "Yeah, let's go to Hot Shot." So Hot Shot was a team that he played for, like in the city. And I'm like, I
Uh-huh.
feel bad because I was like, "Nah, we're not going there, buddy. Like, we'll probably just go watch something on TV." But hell, maybe I take him to pitch 25 or something, somewhere that he can go kick the ball around a little bit too. But
There you go.
that's kind of where we're at, man. That's
Yeah.
life. Life side. We took the kids to Galaxy Lights, which is a NASA, Christmas lights thing. And
Right.
I posted a picture on our social media, and I was like, off season vibes, man. It just feels so weird. Like you mentioned in the beginning, just being this far into the season, obviously all the way till December, something that the last 4 or 5 years, they kind of all ended in October with the, season still had 5 games, but you already knew it was over. So
Yeah.
funny enough how life works, man. But let's not ramble too much. I do have quite a good amount of topics that we can hit on. And most of it is gonna be Dynamo. So I apologize, Dash and Dynamo 2 lovers, but I do want to give a little updates on them. Houston Dash are still, trying or haven't announced a new coach. Funny
Wait,
enough, they
wait.
said that
I thought they were announcing a coach
in
in November
November,
7th
right?
or
Yeah.
something like that.
The date was like sometime early November. Obviously, that's come and gone. There's rumors of some, I guess, candidates that they're not really being released by the Dash, obviously, but yeah, it's still nothing, man. And there's a bunch of things happening in their off season coming up here shortly, whether it be an expansion draft, which I believe if you're listening to this on Friday, yeah, there'll be all that information is kind of coming out. Who's yeah, it's a lot of work that you definitely need a coach to be able to kind of work around all that roster updates. And I guess the only thing that we did learn that who's not going to be the coach was Sarah Loden, who obviously a lot of fans really liked her. We've kind of given our two thoughts on her being the coach or not. Never bashing her for becoming the coach, but just kind of mentioning the fact that it's been a lot of the same with her and with the Dash with the organization. So it was definitely time to maybe move elsewhere. And yeah, Christian, you want to add
No,
something?
no, no. You're good. You're
Okay.
good.
And then Dynamo 2, man. Obviously, we have not heard any Dynamo 2 news. We've seen through social media some of the players that have left, and even some of the players that we'll touch on a little bit of who the Dynamo have released that did saw some minutes playing with too. But the big question to me is going to be about Kenny Bundy, Christian, because last season they extended a contract. They never really said how long, whether it be a year, whether it be 2 years. So that's another big one. Will he be there next season? We don't know. So that's one thing that we'll try to find out here shortly with the front office, maybe ask some questions on that. And Dynamo 2 is a team that we like to cover, that we enjoy covering. Kind of seeing what the academy produces and what they can do in MLS Next Pro, but at the same time, it's kind of like the little brother that nobody really puts too much attention to, which is a little disappointing. So again, there's a lot of kind of gray area, a lot of missing information from the club when it comes to Dynamo 2. So those two, Dash Dynamo 2, they don't get too much love in general. And we don't have a ton of information for you guys, but I did want to just touch on it a little bit on this being the last regular uh, episode for the 2023 year for Bayou City Soccer. But Dynamo, let's go about it, Christian. Let's go ahead. Full on Dynamo. What a run, man. What a fantastic run the club had. I don't think we got to watch the game all together. We ended up just kind of doing a quick live stream of us watching the game. And we had a couple people stop by. Shout out Jeff Strong was one of them. And
Yes.
it was one of those that even though the result was kind of 2-0 towards the end, with an own goal for Escobar, bit of a gut punch. It necessarily wasn't completely like a meltdown. I think we talked
Yeah.
about this. They didn't overachieve. I think they did well. They just, the expectations were so low for them. Then them getting all the way to a Western Conference final was just fantastic, man. So yeah, I guess let's go ahead and finish it with your thoughts about the LAFC match, man.
I mean, I think. Oof, I mean, I start. It was a decent game. I don't think we overly, you know, I don't think we deserved to win the game. We didn't play to win it. We just kind of played to kind of stay in the game in a way. There was really good moments that we had. Midfield. Our midfield is probably one of the best midfields out there in the MLS. Coco, Artur, and HH have been doing great. I mean, it's almost the perfect trio in a sense. Even though maybe Coco didn't have a heck of a game, it was a pretty poor game from him. I mean, Bassi also was kind of lost in the weeds there, and whenever you lose those two guys, you potentially don't have a forward to kind of feed the ball to, right? So it is what it is. Like you said, the expectations were low coming into the season, and I think as we progressed into the year, we saw it as a win, like kind of like a win-win, right? There's no losses. This is only going to prove where we are weak, where we need to be stronger, and how we need, where we need to progress. And going into this match, I think we saw where we need to progress and where we need to fill the gaps. It was like the perfect game to kind of show us where we were strong, where we were lacking, and moving on forward where we're going to be, to get stronger as we move forward. But as a game overall, I think a 2-0 was probably the more reasonable kind of,
I could have easily been like
scoreline.
3-0 in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
With
for
with
sure.
Carlos
Yeah.
Vela missing
Yeah.
a wide open, shot that ended up
Yeah.
hitting the crossbar, and then a couple offside goals too, man.
And a couple of, yeah, and I mean, and Clark had a good saves. So also, what, heck of a year for Clark. Maybe a lot of people didn't give him a lot of credit in the beginning, but I think towards the end of the year we kind of realized that Clark is probably the perfect goalkeeper for this team. He's not overly, I don't know, he's a good shot stopper, which is kind of what we need. And that, I mean, that's what every goalie needs, right? But he's not too crazy with his feet. He's not well versed maybe on the playing out the back and stuff like that. But when it came down to stopping shots and just kind of being at the right place at the right
Break
time,
wall, man. He's just
he
a
was
break
there.
wall. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
agree. And
pretty decent.
just to add, yeah, you're right. I mean, so evident that the attack needs work. I mean, we knew it coming in. If you had the opportunities, you had to finish them. Corey Baird
Yeah,
had, one right in front of goal from a perfect cross from Ache with his left foot early in the game. It wasn't a bad shot, but I think you have to finish those.
yeah,
Whether maybe take an extra touch, settle it down. The defender was already beat because he was already anticipating a slide. And their goalkeeper, Carpo did such a great job too. He come
great
in
goalie.
clutch. So and LAFC gave the Dynamo, the possession. They're like, hey, you have the
Yeah.
ball. What can you do? They knew that the Dynamo didn't have what it took to beat them offensively. So it was just it's just part of the tactic. So people may
Yeah.
see it as like, well, the Dynamo had 70% possession, but look at the rest of the stuff, man. If you can't do, it doesn't matter if
Yeah. If you
somebody
can't
gives you the ball
score.
and you're just passing it side to side in the
Yeah.
middle and really can't do much. I think there's only like one outside of the box shot by Coco Carrasquilla that went straight to the goalkeeper's hand.
Hmm.
There just wasn't anything that was dangerous from the Dynamo. So again, very evident where the work needs to come in the offseason. And that kind of leads into the roster moves. Unfortunately for the Dynamo, it was a bad sting to get eliminated from the Western Conference Finals. Again, I felt bad for Franco Escobar because the guy had played so well. He was obviously the hero the game before,
Hmm.
and then to come and score, which obviously wasn't necessarily the losing goal, but um, just scoring an own goal, it sucks, as a
Yeah.
defender. If you played soccer and you've ever gotten even close to scoring an own goal, it just hurts you, man. It stings your heart. So knowing that you put one in the back of the net hurts your team. Again, hopefully, I think he's a winner, so hopefully she shakes that off and is back to work next season. So but it was just kind of, everybody gave it their all. They didn't quit fighting all the way to the end. So there's a lot to be proud of, especially again for a lot of people were just doubting them from the beginning. And I think the between Pat Onstad, Ben Olsen, Asher Mendelsohn, they've done a really good job of building this club, and obviously it's really helpful when you have the financial backing that Ted it's providing for everybody.
And you know what? Something that kind of Glenn Davis always brings up that maybe we don't think about it a lot because it's not, maybe because we didn't see it a lot, but the fact that we didn't have any like major injuries. Um, the one kid at Tarbo, no, not Tarbo, is it Schmidt? Um, yeah, Schmidt.
Hey Schmidt, yep.
Tate Schmidt. Yeah, so I think he was like the only in game because Ashara
Well, it
also
was
was
him and
injured, but
Teenage broke his leg and was
yeah,
out
broke
for a
his leg.
bit.
Yeah, yeah. But Teenage did he break his leg playing? I don't think so, right? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he
I
did.
don't remember that. Probably.
Well, during practice, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was, yeah, during the
but
season.
yeah. So kind I guess those two, right? So, but I mean, two injuries that maybe one in practice, which you kind of can't control, and then the other one was kind of also in a weird play, right? Schmidt getting injured like
Well,
towards the beginning of the season.
and yeah, exactly, kind of like a freak little play of
Yeah,
him
it was
getting
like a
injured,
push, right, from the
right,
back, and he kind
with
of
the San
stepped
Jose
wrong.
player.
So it
Yeah,
like basically saying injuries didn't come from like fatigue,
right.
being overplayed,
So
being
hats, and that's what I was gonna
overtrained.
go with.
Yeah,
Hats off to the training staff, man.
yeah, man.
They put in the work. There's players that were questionable. I remember Eric Sviatchenko was one that there was doubts on his health because being an veteran player, not super old obviously, but being a veteran player
In
um
Houston.
in Houston, coming from Denmark, he was gonna run into issues, and he never really did. So
Yeah.
you're right. I think it's big props to being able to keep the team healthy, and hopefully that is the case for years to come. That not necessarily something that is very common. There's
Yeah.
teams out there that they call them hospitals FC for a reason. So it just part of the game. Injuries come and go. It is a physical sport after all. So you're right. I mean, for only having basically three injuries, and I guess you didn't even Achara was injured before he got here, and obviously
Yeah.
he already departed. So
Yeah.
where does that fall into? It doesn't really do. But talking about Achara, let's go ahead and hit some of the roster decisions that were made, because like I mentioned, Dynamo ended up losing, on Sunday, and within a couple days, they have to release their roster decisions because that's just kind of how it is. It's fast paced.
Hmm.
They ended up releasing it on Monday, which is crazy, right? You lose
Right.
on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Back to back, baby.
and then come back on Monday, man, 2 days later. So 48 hours. And here's we'll start with the contract options that the Dynamo ended up picking up, which are Luis Caicedo, Tate Schmidt,
Yes.
who you mentioned, and then Thor Olferson and Xavier Valdez. I think we agree that all of them are good, right? To keep.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people maybe I think the only person that some people may have some doubts on is Thor. Um, at least maybe in our group chat. I know some people rather keep, Aliyu, instead of Thor, or whatever it may be. Me personally, I like Thor. I like the way that he plays. I like his style. I like his tenacity. I like his I don't give a, beep attitude type thing when it comes to being inside the
Hey, you
box.
can say it, man. It's our
Yeah,
show. Because I
I
was
know,
gonna
right?
say it if you didn't. So
I know. Yeah, I don't he doesn't give a shit when he's in the box, right? He's gonna take you one on one, and sometimes you're not gonna beat every single defender one on one, but if you beat him once, that's a goal right there,
yeah,
and he has that, and I think he has that hunger for goals, which you need like an extra hunger as a number nine, as a forward, as a
right.
winger, maybe, and he is a number nine by trade. We have been using him more on the wing than what he's used to. So maybe if he can, I mean, he's young. He's what, 21, 22-year old. I mean,
It's like
if
22,
that,
yeah.
yeah, if that kid can progress, I mean, he's a big bodied kid. If he can progress into like, getting more minutes, becoming a starter, putting in goals, getting confidence, I think he could, become maybe like a Christian Ramirez type of goal scorer. Maybe, not superly famous and known, but good enough to be in this league. And who knows, maybe break in into
Playing an MLS Cup, man. That doesn't
yeah,
hurt nobody.
exactly. I
Um,
mean, we're gonna have four competitions this year, so
yeah, no, I agree. And
there's gonna be opportunity.
every name that was, or every player that got their option picked up, I think I agree with. Luis Caicedo came in, obviously as a backup,
Yeah,
thinking whether Coco was leaving, kind of backup for Arthur, obviously meant to men, but he came in and he did really well,
beast.
and he's another guy that came from injuries. I think the dude has no ACLs on both of his legs, so
That's
there
crazy.
are some questions on that, and he came and played very well. I joke around, we joke around the super sub and all this other
Yeah,
stuff, but he was your closer. If you remember every
yeah.
game that it was tight and the Dynamo were up, you bring Luis Caicedo to kind of shut the game down, and then seeing Tate Schmidt get another shot, he did very well. Kid kind of
Yeah.
came out of nowhere, took over the left defensive side of the field, and yeah, unfortunately, he got injured 3-4 games in. So I'm kind of glad that he probably has a great mentality to keep
No,
going. So
imagine having Tate Schmidt on the left, right? Where I think he's a lefty, right? He plays on the left. You have Escobar on the right wing, on the right, right back, and then you can move up Dorsey to play on the wing, and then have Quinones play on the other wings. I'm not sold on Quinones, but that's a way that you can push Dorsey to be a little bit more offensive, and you still keep Escobar, you still keep Dorsey in the field, and you're able to bring Tate Schmidt, who I think he can be kind of like Dorsey and give you that defensive and that attacking side of the ball as well.
no, I agree with you that it could be something that tactically would work.
Yeah,
For sure. And then last one mentioned was goalkeeper Xavier Valdez. He's a Houston Dynamo 2 starting goalkeeper. He did split some time with Andrew Tarbell throughout the season, and Pannenberg and a couple other guys. But usually it was because he was out on national duty. So, I
yeah,
mean, this guy's young, he's 19, 20 years old. Super, super young for a goalkeeper.
yeah. And he's
You
big.
talk about Steve Clark being like 37. There
Yeah.
there's basically another Xavier Valdez in between them, age wise. So it's just kind
So
of crazy. And I think this guy, he has some injury concerns. I know that he has dealt with concussions throughout his stay here, especially with the Dynamo. Um, but he has everything. He's a big dude, good hands. He was part of the MLS, sorry, All Star event, with goalie wars and all that good stuff. So he has a bright future, and why not? What he could be the one that takes over when Steve Clark is not, with the Dynamo anymore. So
Yep.
I think overall good pickup. Trying to give this guy is there's not one that you're like, oh yeah, why did we pick him up? And I think in the past that's something that we have really kind of
Yeah.
like hit our head against the wall and be like, why is he back? Why is he back?
Yeah.
And going into that, the opposite, it's the players that got their contracts decline. I'll mention them right now. It was 8 of them. Um, Ashara, very first one. Again, we saw him at practice a couple times. Unfortunately for
Yeah.
him being injured, it wasn't necessarily the best for him. Charles Auguste, mostly spent time playing with Dynamo 2. He's out. Beto Avila, another guy that was out. I think a lot of people forgot that he was even in the team since he was loaned
Yeah.
out to Charleston Battery. The big one here, it's Teenage, man. Teenage,
Teenage.
such a vital guy. Teenage Davy has been such a fun, player to watch. At times, scary with the ball in the back, but he was just a confident guy, and I think out of all the guys that we're going to mention, he's definitely going to be the biggest miss, just because between him and Bassi, it was just like the core fun group. And I hope and I pray that the team doesn't lose that they don't lose that, fun, go lucky atmosphere that Teenage and like kind of provided for the team. So Teenage, obviously DP contract. People were like, you just, you know, cut him, re-sign him. I was like, dude, who's gonna want to like get cut for a cheaper contract? It never happens that way, especially when your time is very limited as a player. So it just made a lot of sense for him to get dropped, especially with how good Mikel Dos Santos was
Yes.
whenever Teenage was out. And again, that's the guy that came in out of nowhere. Did really well in Dynamo too. So um defender, hometown guy, Mujib
Marana.
Marana. Yeah, it's out as well with his contract being declined. Same thing with Daniel Rios, another homegrown. And then Mativera, man, the downfall of Mativera to me was incredible, just because this guy came in year one, was I believe he was named like the MVP of the team, eventually won the captain's armband. I mean, this guy was good for what the team needed. But once you introduce Ache, his role just completely changed. It was just very drastic the way Mativera's role. And obviously, even the captain armband was taken by Tim Parker when he arrived. So
Yeah.
it was just kind of crazy for Mativera, very likable guy. We got to talk to him, I think last year, Christian, and even in person. So, disappointed for him or sad for him, really, but hopefully we get to see him. And then obviously he got loaned out. He didn't really get a lot of playing time with Argentino Junior. So it was just a bad year for Mati all around. And then the last news here was that Ivan Franco, obviously loan, loan to purchase, obviously was declined. Dude got sent back to Paraguay. So I guess maybe that was it for an Ivan Franco, Sebastian Ferreira. They
Yeah.
never really played together,
Novella.
which is kind of crazy,
Bro.
The guy that brought him in got kicked out, and then this guy, he came in and clutched some games. He kind of came in, scored some late goals for the Dynamo to either tie or win games. So not enough. Obviously, I think they needed more from him. So those are the guys that are out altogether, and then the ones that are out of contract and free agents are debatable. Some people like them, some people do love them. So Corey Baird, that's one that people are gonna, kind of pointing fingers whether he's worth it to have or not. We know that he did work out with the scheme, Christian. Benny Ball kind of fits him. And then for sure, Griffin Dorsey. This guy, both of those guys played very well this season. Overall, they did what they had to do. Griffin Dorsey was in a whole different level. I mean, scoring some bangers, scoring in the U.S. Open Cup. I mean, the dude just balled out. So he's gonna want a big contract, and I think everybody's pulling for him to stay with the organization. For him,
Yep.
especially Dorsey, just he kind of came out of being, dropped by Toronto, kind of out of nowhere, out of the dumpsters. Tab Ramos brought him in, and the dude has just blossomed every single year. And he's very young, 24 years old, man. Everybody wants him to play with the U.S. men's national team. That may never happen, but you know what? Never say never, and it's great. So
Yeah, he
let's
played in
just
the
finish.
youth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So just your thoughts, man, on I know I talked about the decline and then the contracts that are kind of being worked, and obviously the club says currently negotiating with select players, which to me, that's probably just Corey Barrett and Dorsey, man.
Yeah, same thing. Teenager Davy, like you mentioned, kind of life of the party. Um, it's unfortunate. I think his injury obviously did not do him right, but I feel like maybe he'll stay in the MLS. Hopefully, hopefully for him. But if not, I mean, he's a really good player to kind of play in any league that is MLS level type thing. Um, he's not a bad player. Like you said, he may have some questionable choices at times, but you're like at the end of the day, he defends, and that's what you need from a center back. And he's not scared of anything, so he'll run through players if needed. It sucks, but then when you look at the pool that you have, you have your two starters and a veteran and Shevchenko. Mikel, a young upcoming star in a way. You have Bartlow that could, back up there, and then Daniel Steres, potentially, if Stain that also has experience. So you already have four center backs that are covering that spot. There's no need for a fifth one. Also, something that kind of goes against them is the whole DP level or tag that he has. The Dynamo need to reinvest, and I think they're doing a lot better and investing better in who you call DP and who you bring as a DP. And he was a decision from a previous kind of management, before Ben Olsen was here. And I think starting now, we're making more decisions towards the future of the Dynamo. And he got screwed, because of that. If he was like in the level of like Daniel Steres when it came to not having a DP status and maybe getting paid a little bit less than what he's getting paid for now or getting paid now, then he probably would have stayed. And I think maybe Daniel Steres would have been on his way out. I don't know what the situation is with Steres, but I mean, I like Daniel Steres as well.
Well,
So because
Steres
he's
got
versatile.
signed for 2 more years, so
Oh
he's
yeah,
here for
so yeah,
next
he's
year,
good.
and then I think 2025, and then an option. So
Yeah, so
he
we
and
cooch.
he's not getting paid a ton. So
Yeah.
and again, he's a good depth piece. I mean, players like Steres were one of those guys that played the whole first half of the season, and
Hmm.
eventually, when the other players that they really wanted, in the starting lineup, finally were there, and so
Yeah.
you need those type of players. You need players like that, and yeah, I think it's unfortunate that we have to see teenage Hadavi
Yeah.
walk, man, that way, but it's
It is.
part of the game, part of the sport, man. So
And then Dorsey, I mean, what I would do with Dorsey is basically the same, like pay him for a 2-year contract with an option for with a third, give him another year here. He's probably gonna do great. He's gonna kill it and then sell him for a good amount of money. For 2025. And make the kid, go into bigger and better things, hopefully not in the MLS. Because then he's gonna be trouble for us in the future. But I think, looking at the way that Dorsey kind of expresses himself and talks about the way that he plays and the things that he wants to kind of do with his career, the kid wants to go places. So with the dedication, maybe he's not the most like super skillful technical guy with the Maradonesque Messi style player, but he'll push forward, he'll run through guys, and he'll score. And I mean, that's basically soccer, right? So and the guy knows it. He puts in the work. People will tell you he's like the best professional in the club. So his own players are basically giving him praise. And if he wants it, he'll take it. So yeah, just pay the kid for a couple more years, and when you see
yeah,
it fit that you can sell him,
and
give
it's
him away.
crazy because obviously I'll tell you how much money he's making or made in this year, and he was making $165,000,
That's
which
crazy.
it's a lot for us, right? For us
Yeah,
regular
yeah.
folk.
But for him,
But for him, it's underpaid, man. I mean, for how much he did. So of course he
very
deserves
underpaid.
to get a better contract. I think, you know, I'll tell you like if you're over a million, well, if you're over 600,000 base salary, then you're considered a DP, I believe. Anything below that, you're like a TAM player. I don't think his contract would be that substantial, but I could see him,
Doubling it? No, tripling
tripling
it.
it
Ooh,
maybe.
dang.
So yeah, so I mean, you have like players like Coco Carrasquilla making 500,000,
That's
for the
crazy.
season, and then players like Ibrahim Aliou's making 425.
That's
That's
insane.
that's triple what Dorsey's
Yeah.
making. So
And Dorsey is super, like,
right,
extremely more vital than
and
he is.
again, this is not the first season that he was good. He was decent last year too. That's
Yeah.
why they
Coming
opted to
off the
keep
bench.
him. So yeah, exactly. He wasn't getting a ton of minutes, but when he did, he played well. And so seeing that well he played, and if that's something that he wants to structure a better pay contract, which again, it makes a lot of sense. You don't get to play a lot of years in soccer, so the more money you can, get paid, for 3-4 more years, man, it's all up to
Yeah,
him. But at this point, the Dynamo are not the only ones that are going to come in, asking or
for
paying
sure.
some money. Hell, what if Inter Miami comes knocking? You never know at this
You
rate,
never
man.
know. Imagine going
You
to go
never
play with
know. And so
Messi
exactly.
and
So it's like if somebody, else comes and offers you close to that threshold of, 500 to $600,000 for the season, whether you want the money or you want money and like, the fan. I mean, everybody here in Houston, I think he's a fan favorite.
yeah, for
He
sure.
he it was Bossy for a long time, and then Dorsey just scoring some crazy goals, and the energy that he brings, he's definitely up there. I think more people are gonna recognize him than other players. So obviously, like Ache maybe another one, but people are gonna know Dorsey, especially because of the
Yeah.
hair, and he kind of looks like sunshine, or
I
or
look
what's
like
his
a
name?
Cali boy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun, and this is the part we start kind of playing GM alongside Pat Onstad
Yeah.
and seeing the numbers, and people are gonna ask like who should bring, or who should. There's so many players out there, and believe in the scouting. It's more important than whenever you hear names out there and maybe do some research on the way they played. And be like, okay, they fit the system, or they could do well in the system. So that's kind of where we're at. And Christian, we've hit every topic that I wrote down. So we're going to go
There you
into
go.
the fan comments, and we have a good amount. So we'll go through that before my phone dies, because I sure brought a charger, but it is what it is. Um, let's see. I'll just hit a few that, oh shit, my bad. God, why my wife sending me stuff like right when I clicked on it by accident. All right. All right. So the first one, and Alexander from Houston, he asked, who is the best? And he put WK, Christian. I may need your help here. He put, who is the best WK the Dynamo can sign? I want to say he meant like winger. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
WK. See,
Okay.
you say you hate FIFA
Uh,
talk, bro.
yeah, yeah.
And
I don't know
even
any
I don't know
FIFA
what
talk,
the
bro.
hell WK is.
What
So
is the WK?
I'm Googling. I don't see
Yeah.
nothing.
What the fuck is?
But I'm gonna say the winger, bro. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's winger. That's what he means, because
Maybe a
it make
wanker. I don't know.
that is true. Ted Lasso, right? But yeah, no. I guess just again, there's a lot of names to name a specific winger, but knowing with the players you have, you already mentioned Dorsey playing out
Yeah.
wide, which I agree with. So I guess for what we need on that right wing, you need somebody basically like Dorsey. Is that kind of who
Yeah.
you would describe,
Yeah,
Christian?
I mean, yeah, somebody that can go all the way to the touchline and put something in the box. I mean, like favorite winger in the team or kind of outside?
No, like to bring somebody in. So
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
well, shoot, I don't
No,
know.
that's
Honestly, yeah,
but what I'm
I
saying
don't know
is like,
names.
because there's so many, just
Yeah,
you can throw out some of the characteristics that you would like to see.
I like Johnny Russell.
Yeah,
Like I like a Jenny Russell guy type.
bro.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
somebody that grabs the ball and goes forward with it and is not afraid to take shots when he has to take shots, is not afraid to create when he has to create, is not afraid to, go all the way down to the line and put a cross in. Um, and if he has to go one on one, he'll go one on one on you. Like he's confident of his skills, and you need kind of an asshole, just like in the sense that sometimes you gotta be selfish, and if you gotta take one, you gotta take one. I mean, I don't know if you got to watch the Aston Villa Man City game,
Uh-huh.
but what's his face? Leon Bailey, it's one of those players that sometimes he's super selfish and you're like, bro, pass the ball. And then at the same time, he made a run that he kind of went through like one or two guys and he just kind of took a shot and he scored, the only goal of the game, and that gave, Aston Villa the victory over City. And sometimes you need guys that can be selfish like that and confident, not only selfish but have confidence. I think Nelson Quinones has some of that, but he's still not 100% to the player that we want him to be. We see the potentially, but we want somebody that kind of has a little bit more experience. That's why I say kind of like a Johnny Russell, because he has the experience in the league, outside, kind of outside of the league, and he'll run through you. So
You
in
know
the
what's
field and
crazy?
out the field, yeah.
You know what's
What's up?
crazy? Jenny Russell had an option year, so I
Oh
I
yeah,
don't even know. I didn't go back, but I'm sure they picked it up. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure they weren't
He's
gonna
gonna
let him
die there.
walk. But I would just there is a free agent, and if you guys are interested, the listeners, if you type in MLSPA 2024 free agency list, there is a list out there for current MLS players. They are whether out of contract or on an option year. Again, some of them are already covered, but just wanted to throw out some wings that I read reading the list. See if you're interested, Christian. What do you think about Ethan Finley from Austin FC? I'm just joking here, but what about Ariel Lassiter? Did we already kind of do
Yeah,
Ariel
no.
Lassiter? What
Yeah,
about
he's kind of like
Fafa
Quinones.
Pico, man? Fafa Pico, he's out there, dude. I don't know if you're interested or not.
It's
Um,
interesting.
with the Justin Mara, this guy looks like he goes through every freaking team in the uh in the MLS. We got Kevin Molino out there still playing apparently. Jamil Assad, this guy, Argentinian guy that also comes comes and goes from the Argentinian league to the MLS. I mean, there's a few of them out there, but nobody that like kind of like jumps out and for the Dynamo pick up when it comes to the in the MLS. Maybe a Carlos Vela. Carlos Vela's out of contract this year, so
Yeah, but
everybody, so every time that there's a Mexican out there, they're gonna be like, "Hey,
yeah, no.
Ache, hit up your boy," Uh,
Vela is like a way talented
yeah,
talent, like
for
a
sure.
way under talented Messi, and the fact that he won't defend.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, he's a great going forward, but
yeah.
going backwards, you're marking with 10.
So there's definitely some names out there. I think it's gonna be difficult to find somebody from those from that list.
Here,
So
here, here's
mhm.
my rebuttal to, is it Alex?
Yes, Alex
Yeah,
from Houston.
Alex from
Shout out.
Houston. Shout out to him first of all for the question. Appreciate it. And what are some of the names that you have? Send us that. Send us a DM, and then we'll read them over and we'll discuss it amongst the Bayou City soccer people, and we'll see how good your picks are.
All
If
right.
if you're down for that, Alex.
Let's go. G Money. I believe his name is Giuseppe, and I've
G
actually met him
Money.
in person. But all he said was shout out to the search, man, and yeah, definitely shout out to the search. Shout out to all the Hustle Town supporter groups, man. Y'all did a fantastic freaking job throughout the season. If you're listening and you're not a part of one and you're like want to be a part of one, I highly suggest you reach out to one of the three big groups out there. It's fun. I have season tickets and sit with the search, uh, which sadly I was not there as much as I wanted to. I did more covering this time around, but through the media booth. But man, yeah, definitely a big party with them. So yeah, the shout out to the search. Here's one for you, Christian, something that you touched on earlier. This one it's Flaku. I think that's how you say it. That's what I'm gonna go with. Thor should receive more minutes than Ibrahim Aliyu, man. Well, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
It seems like I wrote that. But yeah, that's I've been saying that for a long time.
That's your
Well, I'm amongst your yes, my alter ego.
yeah, your
My what is
Finsta.
it? Right?
Kind of does with
No,
the
but
Finsta.
I've been saying that in our group chat, I like Thor over Aliyu. I just feel like he has a little bit like I mentioned earlier, he has more hunger when it comes to the goal. Um, People are always talking about the potential of Aliyu, and even our Bayou City Soccer members, they put they like to pull out stats and
He's a
Excel
good. He
sheets,
has
and
everything to be, but dude,
on paper he looks amazing,
no,
but
even
then
when you see him play, but bro, 2 inches away from the goal, put that on
exact
frame, dog.
yeah, exactly right. You can't teach that. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't translate on paper. The heart, the conviction, the selfishness in front of the goal, the lethal, kind of like hunger and lethalness to kind of score. You
The
you just
killing
can't
instinct, right? Don't
that.
they?
That's what I was looking
Yeah,
for.
they,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can, you can't
You
you
gotta
can't
pounce on
translate
that
that to
opportunity,
paper.
man.
Yeah, exactly. Like you
Hey,
gotta be able to
wait,
put
wait,
it in fucking
yeah,
frame.
at least one thing that Fafa had right was slow feed, don't eat.
Yeah,
So have some of that little mentality, guys. Come on,
exactly.
Ibrahim, you can do it,
Yeah.
buddy. We believe in you. Just
And I mean, I'm not saying he's not talented, right? Like he's shown that he can, kind of go, and maybe he did have some good finishes at sometimes. And but I feel like he's lacking something, especially for the amount of money that he's getting paid. Especially what you mentioned earlier, he's paying triple the amount of Dorsey is.
it's
And
very
and you can
telling, isn't it?
tell like when you just compare those two, Dorsey has more hunger to score than Aliyu. In my opinion, I might be wrong, but that's just the way that I see the game, right? And when you watch Thor play, he just seems like a damn dog. Like he just puts his head down and he gets the ball, and he can be a selfish asshole, which is kind of what I like about Russell. He'll just
Right.
go straight to goal. If you're there, then he'll try to give it to you, but most likely he won't. So go get that rebound. But I mean, sometimes you just need that mentality of like, I'm just gonna go forward and one score. If I don't, it's gonna end up, somewhere in the box. So
Yeah, you're good. And I think your headphones died or something because something. Oh, you
my bad.
disconnected it. You disconnected it.
My
That's what it
bad.
was. You're
Yeah,
good.
my bad.
No, I can still hear you. And I guess he had another question, a follow up question. Another guy that is out on the free agency is Joseph Martinez. He put Joseph Martinez would be an amazing player to try and buy. He's really what a complete striker is. I can't disagree with that. I think he could be, but yet again, I don't know if he'll have what it takes to press and do all the extra stuff that Ben Olsen likes to ask for his guys. Can he finish? Hell yeah, he can finish in front of goal. He doesn't need a lot of room for that. Anything you want to add on that, bro?
No, I think you touched it all. It's one of those things that he's a beast. Is can you translate that into a Houston Dynamo team? I don't know, but I mean, I would for sure like him in my team.
I like this one. There's no such thing as self marketing. Charles says, shout out to Charles Tom. So, boy is wants a shout out for himself. So
Shout
that's
out
cool,
Charles
man.
Tom.
Thanks for listening, Charles. We hope that you continue to listen to us in the podcast and following Bayou City Soccer
Appreciate it.
next year, next season for all the teams. And he does add, uh, are we gonna sign a striker from a European club? That's a better question because I'm gonna say yes. It seems Pat and Asher, per sources, we're not gonna squeal. They do travel a lot, right? And that's like
Yep.
it's a lot of common sense here. But I know they're for sure out there traveling, whether it be Europe, whether it be South America. So if we're gonna say they're gonna sign a striker from your European club, I'm gonna say yes because they already signed Kovalchik, from Europe. He's not a pure striker, but it's a signage or a sign
Eric,
from who?
Eric Shevchenko,
Yeah, exactly. Him,
Shevchenko.
Aliu, same thing from Europe. I mean, all these guys are bringing a lot of European guys. So, to answer your question, Charles, I'm gonna say I'm 80% sure they'll bring somebody from Europe and probably a striker since we need one. And then Linser, we'll finish out with this one. Actually, he talks about Kovacic. He says, in which position do we need new players? So we already kind of touched on that. Definitely attacking. I think right wing and a striker. Those are like the main concerns to address. And does Kovalchik start next year? That's an interesting one because when we talked to him, um, he mentioned how he's not really a winger. Like he'll play there, and that's where we saw him play.
Mm-hmm.
The times that he was given an opportunity, and he's definitely more of a 10. So I think him and Bossy are gonna kind of,
Flip flop.
fight for that position. And to be honest, I think Kovacic is a different player, dude. He is not your typical, stiff European player that is just like direct. This guy has a little what's the word? I guess he has some magic to him. He when you see him touch the ball, when you see him do little flicks, he plays more of a South American,
Dominican.
yeah,
Yeah.
he has that vibes to him. And so I like it. So for me, I hope that, it was a rough year for him. Obviously being away from his family. He had a newborn that he barely got to see throughout the season, and that's something he mentioned. So, if you like, go look for those recordings that we did, especially with him. But those orange talk that we did throughout the year were really nice, and just kind of giving a perspective of them. But I hope that him having a full preseason gets him in shape to play 90 minutes, which is difficult to play in Houston. It's difficult to play in the weather, especially for him, coming from 70, 80 degrees to just coming into 110 when he arrived here. Um, we live here. It's difficult for us to even, walk around from the car
Yeah.
to the
The
house
store.
sometimes. So
Yeah.
imagine running out there when you've never done it. Um, but yeah, no, I think Seva is going to be a good piece next season for sure, Christian.
Yeah. Polish Sevas has a lot of potential. He's one of the guys that you're like, I want to see more of. That we like you can like you said, you can kind of see that flavor, that flair that he might have, under his sleeve. But I mean, you have, Bossy that was consistent and he most of the season and he scored goals. So, you can't, trade that away from a potential. You kind of have to go with the for sure stuff. But I mean, like I mentioned, 4 competitions this year. We start off with Campeones, whatever name it is that they have now, Champions League. And then, going into the MLS season in the summer, we have
Yeah,
again Leagues
and
Cup.
I was going to ask you that expectations for
Yeah.
2024. We have the CONCACAF Champions Cup, the Leagues Cup is going to be here again,
Yeah,
US
fight to the
Open
end.
Cup, it's finally back and we won it, so that's great. The Houston won that. And of course, there's always that run for the MLS Cup. So, 4 major competitions that Dynamo are going to be part of, which is
Yeah.
from nothing to something. It's been a ride, man. And it's great that we got into covering the team, how we're doing, um and seeing just the growth. And obviously it wasn't the prettiest because this is like the third fourth coach in the same amount of time, so just pretty incredible. And I think the expectation for Houston Dynamo Football Club, which includes the Dash and Dynamo 2, they need to win. It's win now. I think the owner's doing a hell of a job of investing. Obviously, we saw, all the remodeling they did to the stadium. They're changing the headquarters closer to the stadium as well, which are beautiful. I know it's not necessarily open to the public, but there's talks of maybe even potentially having something there for the fans, whether it be a museum or some. I mean, it just talk right now. There's nothing concrete, but I think it's great that, again, I mentioned it a bunch of times, an outsider guy, a guy from New York comes in and really sees what's kind of wrong with the heart of the club. And he's slowly, transitioning that to make it, Houston's very own, which is again kind of sad that it took this long for somebody to see it. But at this point, man, things are working.
Yeah.
People are investing. There's a lot of work to do. Then Olsen, man, did such a great job. Obviously he came in, lots of question marks. I always gonna say I'm gonna lift my hand, and I was one of the negative guys that really why him. Maybe we should bring somebody else, somebody that hasn't been in MLS. But he shut my mouth closed, bro, and I'm glad. And same thing with Pat. Last season was terrible for him when it comes to signings, and this season, he did a lot of planning, whether it be loans, short term grabs that kind of worked out, and not all of them are going to hit. There's going to be a bunch of misses as part as how many good signings end up happening. So there's a lot to work here. Like you mentioned, there's four competitions. You have to create a lot of depth for them. So I'm sure enough, man, we're gonna start seeing new players arrive to the club, and excited to follow what they do with the Dynamo and as well for the Dash. At the end of the day, they're the only other or the only women's team, professional team. I keep laughing because I find that kind of funny when people say it the way they say, because it's true that the only one, and we should be following it. But as a soccer fan, it's just another team that gets you involved when soccer is around that you can watch. And um, obviously they need to pick up a new head coach. They need to get a bunch of new players. So there's a lot of things happening there for sure. And Christian, we got Women's Gold Cup in February. This one's in February, man. I know last time it was the World Cup was not in February, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly from a year ago. And then we have Copa America as well, being here in the States,
Yeah.
June and July, 3 games at NRG. Trying to make it to all of them, maybe, to cover the beautiful sport, man. So
Yep.
anything you want to add to everything I just mentioned, man, go ahead, do
Yeah.
it, bro.
Start the clock. 1 minute. No, just the culture, right? The change of culture you kind of touched about, what Ted has done with his money, but I mean, he's putting his money and his money is doing great things, and he's trying to make, this city be one of those, when you think of MLS, you think of, Seattle Sounders, you think of Portland Timbers, you think of the LA teams, you think Atlanta, maybe New York, and everybody else kind of gets skipped over unless you're in the MLS. If you're in the MLS, then your Columbuses, your maybe now your Cincinnati's that are good. Maybe Nashville, teams that are like legend, not maybe not legendary, but have been competing at a top level every single year that they've been around. And they're always in the conversation of who's going to make it to the final. It's always the same 7-8 teams out of 30 teams. And I think Ted wanting to put the Dynamo in that conversation is it's kind of what he wanted to do, and I think that is changing the culture. I mean, we've seen a lot of MLS people looking at the Dynamo now. Obviously this is their price year for everybody. They're like, where did this team come from, type thing. But I feel like changing the mindset of the Houstonian, like the follower of the team, like us, that we can't just be mediocre every single year. We need to play with the big boys, spend money like the big boys, go get players like the big boys, not stick to second division from Spain or from France. Like, we're gonna have to go for big names. We're gonna have to go for maybe not giant names, but maybe an Ache type guy that maybe, yeah, his time might be done in Europe, but he still has a couple of years in him that could bring something of substance into this team. A winner, champions. I mean, every single player that we have brought in has won something. They like to win, they want to win. And it changes that culture, it changes that mindset that Houston can be one of those teams that whenever people are like, hey, who might win the MLS Cup this year? And you have to throw in the name of Houston. And I think having that year, year after year, year after year, I think we can become the soccer city that we know that we are. I mean, when we look around and me and you, we've been out to many different international games, many different club games here in Houston, like Liga MX games and stuff like that, and it's popping. You know what I mean? Like it packs every single stadium. There's like a bunch of people that come out, and that this is a soccer town. I mean, we see it in our Sunday leagues. We see it, from that level of like amateur. I have work every single day, construction, and then I go play my ass off on Sundays, but I'm still good to having a professional team that is winning championships, going to finals. And I think that's what we deserve as fans, and changing that mentality. I think Ted has done a great job in kind of impulsing that with his money, because obviously maybe he doesn't have the soccer knowledge, but he had the pockets to do it. And then bringing in people that knew the knowledge, Asher, maybe Pat, and having a whole freaking staff that looks at numbers and stuff like that. And then that helps the media kind of buy in. We always talk shit about local media. They're never covering the team. It's usually us. They only come out whenever we're doing great. Like, I mean, not to throw shade, but I'm still gonna mention it. But last game of the season, we don't have assigned seats at the press box. We love Edgar, we love Angel, we love Jack. I mean, they honestly, they are the greatest people that we could ever work with. Um, but obviously we understand that whenever the big boys come around, that your channels 11, 13, 26, Univision, Telemundo, everybody comes out.
The
we
MLS, man, everybody
the
for sure.
MLS, Apple, everybody's around. I guess we kind of step aside, in a way, because we kind of know our place in a way, right?
Yeah, and I
We're
want to add,
but
I want to
yeah,
add to something to that. Also, whenever we were at the press conferences for those games and it's jam packed and there's faces we've never seen and they're
yeah,
eager to ask a question, I think that's fine for us to step
yeah,
back. It's like, hey, it's not to say like, hey, we've been here, we've done it type of thing, but it's more like, dude, let's get more content out through this
exactly.
other,
I mean, me cagué de
option.
frío, but I'm happy.
But you know what I mean. It's one of those that like, hey,
No, for
you
sure.
guys are here covering the team. That's what we want, especially as
Yeah,
fans. I
yeah,
take it away from us covering the teams as fans. I think it's great for them to be out there and getting coverage. They deserve it.
sure.
The people that are out there, they do it for a living. They have the time to go whenever they can, whether it be a morning practice, a late uh press conference, anything. They can do it. Like, we wish it would be more consistent
That's what
for
we
the
want. Yeah,
for yeah
consistency.
for the players, for the team. Like, they deserve it. They played so well, and as well for the fans. The fans are out
Yeah,
there. You talk about getting cold. The fans are out there, man. It
for real.
rains and there's not a cover for them. Like,
Yeah,
they demand more. And again, Houston maybe has always been like that neglected big city, and it's just part of it. I think we're kind of used to it, but whenever things are doing good, yeah, go out there, cover the team, man. Go ask
for real.
questions, get involved. That's fine with me. I'm gonna stay back and just get everybody, let people get in here, basically, man. Get in
Yeah,
here, like, for sure. And yeah, Christian, I mean, I think it's been a great,
yeah.
great year.
A good
Fantastic
time,
time, hanging out with you on a weekly basis for the most part. I think
right?
we've,
We're
what
best
is
friends
it?
forever now.
Yeah, 52 weeks. I think we started our very first episode the first week of February. So, not
Yeah,
necessarily a full on
and
year,
and
but,
next year we're gonna start early too,
and next year I mean, really,
because we
again,
got
we're
Champions Cup or whatever.
yeah, we're gonna take off the next 3 weeks or so, basically, and we'll come back hungry. Let me see. I'm
Yeah,
looking at the January 1st, bro. We're recording January 1st as a
there you go.
Monday. So we'll be back recording January 1st. We'll make it that's basically New Year's. Probably gonna be wasted as hell, drinking some kind
I'm
of
off that
spike
day, so
mate.
right. Some spiked mate. That's funny.
And so we'll be here probably. Well, okay, now I'm looking at it, it'd be tentative because we don't want to get yelled at by family
Yeah,
members and stuff.
for
But
sure, for sure.
yeah, yeah, man, we'll be back. I think we're excited. We're hungry. We keep getting, we're working, getting new equipment. We will love to keep doing those videos that we've been doing. Asking you guys, the fans, questions, pre games. Probably gonna try to do a couple live shows. And next season, we'll try to get some stuff going, whether it be with Senate Avenue again or Social Beer Garden or places that we're kind of in communication with. So, keep an eye out for that. And of course, our good friends at Ugly Guppy have hooked us up once again
Shout
with some
out.
really nice polos that I need to disperse here shortly to all of you guys. But no, man, I think it has been a great season. Super fun. This is a hobby for us, the interns, and it pays, man. It pays in many different ways. So,
Yeah.
it's one of those, man. But Christian, man, let's not get all
Yes.
sappy and get all
Right.
sentimental with December almost, here and the year ending. But let the people know how they can connect with us, man.
Yes, and before I do that, I just want to say thank you to you specifically, man. You've done a heck of a job, and Dustin and the guys. But I mean, honestly, being here a year around with you, you have killed it. So shout out to you, man. Like if everybody listening or watching knew the amount of work that Rudy puts in, like you would be shocked. So shout out to fucking Rudy, man. You're the fucking goat. But
Thanks, man.
yeah, go check us out at Bayou City Soccer, Bayou City Soccer, and all social media. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go check us out there. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel. We had 99.9% of the press conferences. I missed a couple, but they were all mostly there. All the videos are going up there. The YouTube channel, or Orange Talks, where we talk to players, coaches, and everybody all around. They're there for you to go listen to and kind of get to know everybody. Um, you can also check out the website at BayouCitySoccer.net, or not at, but BayouCitySoccer.net. You have all the stuff that all the guys are doing over there. A bunch of articles that almost daily we're dropping over there. Breakfast links to kind of get you caught up in your soccer around the world. We have Joey doing some stats works after the games, kind of giving you some numbers. Where the players ranked and his eyes and everything like that. But I mean, and we have just people coming up with the really fun ideas and really cool articles that you can go and read and kind of check out. So BayouCitySoccer.net, Rudy Rudy Segura 3. Yes, I almost got it. Rodrigo, he's on father leave. So shout out to Rodrigo and being a dad to his little girl. Rodrigo Segura 01, Manny Vela 4, Dustin Richardson with no O, but you can always find him at Bayou City Soccer. Joey at Joey Chavala 10, and myself at Chris Putalias. You can always, find us there. Give us a shout, give us, send them a DM or whatever it may be. So yeah, at Bayou City Soccer, guys.
Yeah, and don't forget to hold it down and keep it forever orange, guys.
Let's go.